You're about to be born, not as a human with Netflix, pizza, and parents who post your baby pictures on Facebook. Nope, you're born as the most hated, feared, and cursed fish in the Amazon, the Candiru, the parasitic catfish. Sounds spooky already, right? You've probably heard the legend, the little vampire fish that swims up your urethra. But the truth is, even worse. Not just for humans, for the fish itself. Because the Candiru doesn't just scare people, it actually lives one of the most miserable lives on Earth. Let's start with your birth. You don't hatch in a cozy nest. You don't even get parents to look after you. Your mom just dumped her eggs into the Amazon and then dipped. When you pop out, you're smaller than a paperclip. You're fragile, half-transparent, and already surrounded by killers. The Amazon isn't a playground. It's a blood-soaked gladiator pit. Piranhas patrol the waters. Caimans lurk near the banks. Birds swoop down to snatch anything shiny. Even bugs can eat you. And you're basically a living noodle. Most of your siblings don't last a week. They're swallowed, crushed, or just starve. Your odds of survival? Slim to none. But somehow, you make it. Congratulations. Now, the suffering begins. As you grow, you realize you've been cursed with the weirdest diet imaginable. You're not like other catfish, rooting around for insects or plants. Nope, you're a vampire, a bloodsucker. Here's how it works. You can't chase prey. You can't overpower it. So you rely on smell. Specifically, the smell of urine. That's right. Your entire food strategy is sniffing pee in the water. Why? Because pee means a bigger fish is nearby, and big fish have gills. You wriggle your tiny, skinny body into the gills of an unsuspecting fish, clamp down with sharp spines, and slice a hole in the tissue. Then you drink its blood. That's it. That's your dinner. Not shrimp, not worms, just blood. But blood isn't exactly a balanced diet. It doesn't have everything you need, so you're constantly malnourished, always skinny, always starving. You're like that friend who only eats hot chips and energy drinks. Technically alive, but miserable. And you're hated. Other fish don't just like you, they despise you. You're the monster that sneaks into their gills at night, stabbing and draining them. Sometimes, your feeding even kills them. So congratulations. Every fish in the Amazon is your enemy. Now, let's talk about predators. Because you're small, weak, and see-through, you're everyone's snack. Birds gulp you down. Bigger fish crush you. Humans step on you. Even piranhas, who are already terrifying, see you nothing but a slimy noodle. But here's the kicker. While you're dying by the thousands in the river, you're also building the worst reputation in human history. Locals tell stories about you. Explorers spread rumors. Scientists write terrifying papers. You're not just a parasite, you're the pea fish, the urethra invader. Now let's set the record straight. The whole swimming up a human's urethra story, it's not common. In fact, it's incredibly rare. But it has happened. There are documented cases. And when it does happen, it's a nightmare. Your spines lodge inside. You can't back out. And the only way to remove you is surgery. Sometimes they literally have to cut you out. So now your entire species has been branded as a living horror story. To humans, you're not a fish. You're a curse. And let's be clear, you don't even want to be there. You're just following the chemical trail of urine because you're starving. It's desperation, not malice, but the myth sticks. So not only is your life miserable, you also get blamed for something you barely even do. Now let's zoom in on your biology. You're tiny, barely a few inches long. You're skinny, almost transparent, which makes you hard to spot, but also fragile. You have backward-facing spines near your gills that act like grappling hooks. Once you wedge into a host, you're not coming out without a fight. That's your one superpower, and it's also why humans fear you so much. But let's talk about molting. Like other catfish, you grow slowly, and in a river full of predators, slow means dead. You're basically an appetizer swimming through a buffet. And romance? Oh, bud. You don't get love songs or nests or fancy dances. Males and females just release sperm and eggs into the water, hoping they meet. That's it. No courtship, no intimacy, just two clouds drifting together in the current. That's your love life.
And if you're lucky enough to reproduce, your kids get cursed with the same life of blood, starvation, and bad PR. The cycle continues forever. Now, let's do some comparisons. The tongue-eating louse spends its life inside a fish's mouth, replacing its tongue. That sucks, but at least it has a steady food source. The lamprey is another bloodsucker, but at least it can swim fast, attach to big prey, and survive for years. You, the parasitic catfish, you're the worst of both worlds. Too weak to fight, too hated to hide, and too desperate to stop sniffing pee. And here's the dark irony. Parasites are supposed to be sneaky. They survive by going unnoticed. You're famous. You're the poster child of parasites. And everyone hates you. Imagine if humans lived like you. You're born as a helpless speck in the middle of a war zone. You grow up by sneaking into people's lungs at night, cutting holes and sipping blood. Every neighbor hates you. Every predator wants you dead. And your entire sex life is just sneezing into a crowd and hoping someone sneezes back. That's your existence. Now, let's add insult to injury, because you're not even common. You're rare. Most people will never see you. But thanks to a few horror stories, your reputation is global. Entire documentaries, books, and myths are dedicated to you. You're the boogeyman of the Amazon. And yet, you don't benefit from that fame. You're not worshipped like jaguars. You're not admired like dolphins. You're not loved like sloths. You're just feared, hated, and occasionally dissected in a lap. So, let's recap. You're born defenseless, you're hated by fish, you're hunted by predators, you're cursed with a terrible diet, you're malnourished your entire life, your romance is pathetic, your survival strategy makes you a legend of horror, and your reputation is worse than reality. Being born a parasitic catfish doesn't just suck, it's a living nightmare. Evolution handed you the worst possible hand of cards and then told everyone about it. So if reincarnation is real, pray you don't come back as a Candiru, because that's not just a bad life, that's a horror movie.